Well, this story actually, the Greek part made me think of Spring and Persephone. And Persephone, of course, that's kind of the classic story of how spring came to be. Persephone, the story of Persephone is one that I used to tell my mom a lot. Because my reading of it is a little bit different from the traditional one. So you guys probably know a bit about Persephone, right? So she was the daughter of Demeter, who is the great fertility goddess of Greece. Demeter, who is the one who's associated with grain and all that good thing, and beer making and the harvest and growing vegetables. So Persephone was her daughter, and growing up, I don't think Persephone had a whole lot that she really had to do. There wasn't a whole lot she was responsible for in particular. She mostly, according to the stories that I've read, she just pretty much went around picking flowers. And her mom would kind of be off working and would kind of leave her daughter and say, just go pick some flowers. And she had a variety of nymphs and people of that sort who were supposed to watch the kid while she was off at work. See, Demeter was a single mother. She was divorced. And she'd had kind of a brief marriage or liaison or what have you with Zeus, and that produced Persephone. And so Demeter had full custody after that because, Zeus got remarried and he had a lot of other fish to fry. Demeter, being very maternal, she didn't have a problem with that. But, she was a working mother, so she had to kind of put her child in this kind of nymph daycare from time to time when she went off to do what she needed to do to keep, the crop rotation happening in Greece. Fine. So one of these days in Persephone, and she's growing up, becoming a big girl, she's going out there and picking flowers, and every day she kind of goes a little farther and finds flowers a little farther away from the main meadow where she's supposed to be, and one day she sees a clump of flowers that's just absolutely gorgeous, and it's a little bit farther than she's supposed to go, and the nymphs are out, oh no, don't go there, remember your mother said, and she's like, whatever, I want the flowers, I'm a big girl, I can do this. So Persephone, sashays off through the meadow, over to this clump of flowers that she wants, and starts pulling on them. But there's something up with these flowers, because the harder she pulls, the more stuck they appear to be in the ground, and they don't come out. So she's pulling and pulling and pulling on the flowers, and nothing happens. But after a while, the ground beneath her feet starts to kind of quiver and shake and move, and something's going. But she's not leaving without those flowers, and so she just kind of keeps pulling and pulling, and she's like, listen, you're coming with me. Do you know who my mother is? You're coming with me. You're going in a vase at home. And she's pulling and pulling and pulling. Very stubborn kid. Well, the earth in front of her kind of explodes, and out comes this huge chariot. It's a great ride. It's totally tricked out. Somebody put all the styling rims out on this thing, and there's these big black stallions. It's got a lot of horsepower on this thing. And driving it is this big, tall guy, big black beard, he's real... There's a little bit of the sulfuric stench in his wake, but no matter, he's looking good, I don't know if he was on Pimp My Chariot or whatever, but, his ride is fly, his beard is happening, it's all good. And so, long story short, Persephone doesn't come home later that day. And Demeter's questioning, the daycare nymphs. Oh my God, we have no idea what happened. She went out to pick some flowers. We told her not to. We didn't see where she was going. Demeter starts to freak out. She's going all over asking, have you seen my daughter? Have you seen my daughter? Have you seen? She's putting signs up all over the meadow. Have you seen Persephone? She's very cute. She wears pink. No, nobody's seen her. Nobody wants to say. Well, as it turns out, I think a lot of people probably did see this happening because... I don't know, if the earth exploded in my backyard and this guy came out and, the pimped out chariot and the beard and everything and took some girl away, I would notice. Now, I wouldn't necessarily tell, the goddess of fertility or whoever, if she came by and asked, where's my daughter? And if I was responsible, I might, tell a fib like, oh, I didn't see anything. So I'm guessing that that's what happened. I think a lot of people knew where Persephone was and nobody wanted to say. Well, months go by. Demeter is freaking out, can't find her daughter, so finally she phones up her ex-husband and Zeus. Listen, we've got to talk. No, I'm busy. No, we've really got to talk. No, look, you're the one with custody. No. Okay, this goes way beyond custody. And so they're getting into this. She's your daughter. Well, she's your daughter. Well, she's your responsibility too. Well, listen, it goes on and on like this. Finally, he sends Hermes, or Mercury, the messenger god, down to Hades to, because everybody really knows where she is, but nobody really wants to do anything about this situation. And Demeter's yelling, I'm not putting out until my daughter comes back. The crops are withering. You guys know the story, right? Nothing doing until her daughter comes back. Well, this is where I have my take on the story, which is a little bit different. There's the whole thing with the pomegranate seeds, and no, she has to say, and this, that, or the other. But the way I kind of imagine this playing out, when I can imagine Demeter storming down and yelling, bring my daughter out, I want to talk to her, she has to come home with me now. And I could just imagine Persephone. Okay, so she's down below the earth, and it's maybe a little different from what she's used to. But Hades, the guy with the cool ride and the beard and everything, Hades has a really great setup down there. I mean, he's master of all. He surveys beneath the earth. He's lord of all the gold and the gems and surely all the petroleum byproducts as well. So there's a good future here for her. And there's her mother, yelling and banging and calling, and now you have to come back, and the nymph daycare, and I'm sure she's probably thinking, hey, here I am, queen of the underworld. I'm not going back. And this reminds me a lot of the conversations that I would have with my mother in high school when my boyfriend was about 5 minutes from knocking on the door for a date, and she'd be saying, oh, why don't you stay here with me at home? You always go out with them every weekend. And I'd be like, listen, Mom, no, I'm going, but I promise I'll come back. And this is what I said to my mother the day I got married. She's crying and crying and crying, and she looked to me kind of like Demeter. I mean, there was birdseed in her hair because we'd been throwing that for the wedding. But, there she's crying, and she kind of looked like this forlorn grain goddess, bereft of her daughter. And I said, Mom, it's okay. I'm going to go and become queen of my new dominion. It was a little rental, third floor up in Somerville. Queen of my dominion, but I promise I'll come back and